I ain't never giving up.
The top three here, Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen, 13 world championships between them. Count them, set it down to you. 7 fouls and 4 for Vettel, 2 for Verstappen, 13, that makes 13. Nice one, Griffin, not too shabby.
In a few moments' time, we have the green flag, and in front of a capacity crowd, 5 lights are on. It's lights out, away we go. Verstappen does get away well.
The top three here, Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen, 13 world championships between them. Count them, set it down to you. 7 fouls and 4 for Vettel, 2 for Verstappen, 13, that makes 13. Nice one, Griffin, not too shabby.
In a few moments' time, we have the green flag, and in front of a capacity crowd, 5 lights are on. It's lights out, away we go. Verstappen does get away well.
The top three here, Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen, 13 world championships between them. Count them, set it down to you. 7 fouls and 4 for Vettel, 2 for Verstappen, 13, that makes 13. Nice one, Griffin, not too shabby.
In a few moments' time, we have the green flag, and in front of a capacity crowd, 5 lights are on. It's lights out, away we go. Verstappen does get away well.
Hello all and welcome into WHF Tier 1. You're joined by me, your host this evening, WHF Arrow, as we get ready for short qualifying here, followed by 36 laps at the Mexican circuit here in Mexico City. And we're here for round 5 in the calendar, and we've probably our quickest field out there this evening. 20 drivers are missing 2 cyclists to join in quali, and then there's 1 free space. And I will say it did look wet on the main grid, but now it seems everyone's out to dry, so maybe it's just my eyes playing tricks on me. The surface looks a little bit wet, but I could be mistaken. On board with Echo, but a start lap here in the V-Carb, although it doesn't look too wet. With everyone out in the dries. The surface just, it looks a little bit damp anyway. We've got 17 turns, and Echo will take us down into turn 1. A really smooth section when you can hook it up, and Cookie before the race was complimenting how nice this is to drive in a hot lap. So we'll see if Cookie can try and go for pole again, the championship leader. I'll just get the right chat up so I can keep an eye on the chat, as if we look at the standings, Cookie does lead. Couple drivers missing due to holidays and such over the summer break. Cookie leads ahead of Alex Mills, next is Fakiri, then Nis, JG, TJ, Ty, and last season's champion Trixie's all the way down in 8th. But good to see Trixie back, and Nis as well back from holiday. We've also got Andy, who's debuting as Echo, invalidates through one of the final corners, as maybe Mallard next round. Actually, I think it's Creamy is going to be next round. Oh, he's invalid as well, so we'll stick with Mallard as Aiden goes quickest. We've got Cookie, as the rear stepping out in that Ferrari as Cookie crosses the line. That's a 14.8 is the time to beat. Is Trixie about to start a lap? I think it might be Diggs across the line. Diggs into P3. As Mallard to the line he goes, and into P3 himself, just ahead of Aiden. As TJ into P2. But who is going to be on a lap? We've got Alex in the final sector now. As we've got the debut of Andy, and Andy has been highly touted as a very quick driver for Red Bull, as Alex P2 in the standings and P2 out on track. We'll see what Andy's doing. He's just down into turn 1 as Hemi Dimes, aka Nacho Libre, into P2 as Cyclix has joined us now. And he'll be one of the next drivers to watch, but I think Trixie or Nis might be good to watch. Stick with Trixie, last season's champion, as Trixie is the man to watch here on a lap. On a bit of a skid of the rear, and that's an invalidation from Trixie. As I wonder, is Nis further up the road than Andy? No, Andy's further up the road than Nis, so we'll stick with Andy on his first lap here in WHF Tier 1. And Andy, highly touted as one of the quickest here. And here on his WHF debut, what can he do here in Mexico? Very tricky circuit to get right, as we see him go very deep there, as he almost runs into the Mercedes. And the Mercedes was trying to get out of his way, but just a really tricky left-hander there, especially with no ABS. As Andy up to P5 he goes, as Nis in behind goes quickest with a 14.5, and Nis lays the gauntlet. That is the time to beat a 14.5, as Creamy in the chat has said it is going to be a wet race, and that could spice things up. I think it's our first wet race of the calendar, as Mock on his debut for Alpine into the wall, and Mock will have to come in here, but not an ideal debut so far for Mock, as Trixie's had to go again after invalidating. We've got Ellis out in the Aston, as Cyclix has got in, so we're just one shy of a full grid as things stand. But we'll keep an eye, but as things stand, I wonder, is Cookie going again? No. Is Andy going again? I don't believe so. Ollie out there flying, although he's already out of battery. I don't know if that's by design. I think he is slightly up on his delta, so can Ollie extract any more time out of this lap? You got to keep it neat and tidy through this really tricky final sector, probably one of the trickiest sectors on the calendar, as we see Trixie up to P2, just a tenth shy of Nis, as Ollie crosses the line, but no improvement for the Alpine. But Trixie 10th shy of Nis, and it's like last season all over again, season 7, where we seen Nis, Trixie and Cookie battling all throughout the season, and Trixie would be the driver to win the championship. But as of right now, it looks like Cookie could be the driver to beat, and Cookie looking to pick up his 7th title. As Echo, I believe, goes to P6. Strong lap there from the V-Carb driver. As we stick with Nuki on this flying lap. We've yet to see a couple drivers yet to set laps. Like so Pablos, Nuki, Cole, Mock, Dub, Cyclics and Creamy. Creamy's left the sessions. We'll try and get him back in again. As Nuki should finally get a lap time on the board, and where can the Haas reserve put his car? Into P14 he goes. As Ellis with a very strong 124.8. You love to see it. As a couple drivers on out laps now, yet to set one. Where is Ellis actually on a push now? We'll stick with Ellis for now. As he goes deep. But Ellis hasn't actually made many Tier 2 appearances this season, and now he's up in Tier 1. And we'll see what Ellis can do in the Aston Martin. I'm guessing he must have made a massive error through the final sector on his previous run. That's why he's 7 seconds off Nuki. As Creamy back into the lobby. As there's a yellow flag out for a Mercedes. Hopefully the Mercedes just letting through one of the Red Bulls. As Ledgeman now up to the line. Does improve by 5 seconds, but still down on Nuki's time as Cyclics on a flare in the Cadillac. And where can Cyclics go as he gets a good run through this final sector, and so much time can be won and lost from the final sector here, and Cyclics has nailed that final sector, hit every apex beautifully, and to the line he goes. And it's only P10 considering how nice of a final sector that was. Meanwhile, we've got Cookie 2/10 to the good. As Creamy left the session again, we'll try and get the McLaren driver back in again. He's having some trouble with his internet. As Creamy chucking it into the final sector, and can Cookie keep it smooth through the final sector? As things stand, he needs to improve by over 3/10 if he wants to get ahead of this and get provisional pole, and to the line he does do it. It's just shy of a half a second improvement there. As Nis now a 10th to the good. Keeps it in. And exiting 16. Can Nis snatch pole here? And Nisterling does improve, but not enough. As big improvement there required. Not quite sure what happened there. Anyway, we'll see what else is going on. TJ just improved to P4. Hemi now up by 2/10, and that can be big for Hemi to get into the 14s and snatch P4 here, but there is a bit of a gap to that top 3. As Hemi now rounding the final corner, and to the line he goes, does get into the 14s, just a 10th shy of Trixie. Brilliant lap there from Hemi as Pablos goes P10. Did I miss anything else? I think I've missed something, but what is it? Who knows? Either way, Mock out on a lap as well. Ollie about to finish a lap. He's 2.5 tenths to the good. And he might be able to get ahead of Cyclix. Whether he can get his teammate Mock for this evening, we'll have to wait and see. And as he crosses the line, Ollie does improve. 4/10th improvement, gets into P10. And ahead of his teammate is Mallard. Tier 2 reserve, but has, I'm pretty sure, appeared in most races, if not all of them. Improves by just under a tenth and stays P14. But Mallard still a very strong driver in Tier 1. As Cookie now a tenth to the good as he enters the final sector. Has he got anything left in the tank to extend his margin? As a big lock of the rears, it looked like there, as he rotated through the final corner to the line. 200ths down on his time. I think he did lose time through the final corner. There's Andy actually up to P4. Big improvement there for Andy, just a tenth shy of his teammate. And Andy putting himself where we all kind of expected him to be, in and around the leaders, just ahead of Hemi Dimes and Andy, the latest debutant, where we're excited to see what Andy can do here in WHF. Meanwhile, Nuki, as Story says, where is Seb? Not in Tier 1. Did he forget to race? Who knows? Either way, as Nuki out on a lap, although he's invalidated, Mallard into the pit lane he goes. Is Andy or Cookie going in? I think they're both on in laps. As, yeah, Nuki on an in. So I think it's just whoever's on out laps in the moment. Ellis. Okay. Ellis almost died. Meanwhile, Creamy, next driver to start a lap, and hopefully he can get a lap set. He's been having issues with disconnection, so hopefully Creamy can finally get a run here. And Creamy having a strong season so far here in Tier 1, and can he add to that here in Mexico? Oh, and it goes a bit deep, and a little bit of a mistake there from Noah. And now, oh, okay. Noah just keeps lagging out, unfortunately. I don't really know what more we can do to help him. But it doesn't look like Noah's going to get a lap turn on the board. We've also got Cole and Dub as Cyclix cuts the track. Love to see that. Anyway, Nuki better start another run. We've also got TJ out there on a lap. We'll stick with the Audi driver, although I'm not sure he's actually on a push. I think we'll tell if Cyclix is pushing or not. As we'll stick with TJ's going to start a lap, although Echo starting a lap as well. Someone actually on a push. Not really. I do think TJ or Echo's some of the. I think we'll stick with Echo for this lap in P8 with a 15-1 currently. and just behind his teammate of Raza. And we'll see, can Echo improve here? As we've got a minute left in this session, and everyone's final runs will be coming in shortly as Echo invalidates, but we'll have enough time to go again. Hopefully he can get some battery recharged. I do think TJ might be the next driver around on a push, as Cookie, current pole sitters, started his lap along with Nis in behind. As TJ's backed out of this one, so might be Raza, maybe the next driver around who's actually on a push here. We'll just keep an eye out as Raza razzing it round. And can Raza improve? He's just shy of TJ as of right now. But Raza, a very strong driver on this game. One of the quickest on controller along with Cookie. Oh, just crept over the line and invalidates. And that might be Raza's qualifying done, unfortunately. As his teammate Echo starting another lap. TJ starting a lap as the checkered flag falls. It's Alex to P6. Cole and Creamy don't get laps in as Raza retires out on track. Or I might have just come into the pit lane, sorry. As Pablos looks to be P11 at best. Mock, is he improving? He's a 10th to the good. As Cookie to the line does a 14-2. Massive improvement there for Cookie. And 2 tenths. Is it enough? Mock goes P10. Can Nis snatch it to death? I think he was invalid there. As Andy next around, could he be the driver? Oh, massive tank slapper and bends it. Does Andy, as Trixie goes 2 thousandths shy of Nis, just behind him. As we've got Echo next around. Andy, massive tank slapper out of the final corner there. As Echo, no improvement there. Pablo, don't think he's improving. TJ is somewhat evens on his delta. As TJ to the line doesn't improve. Pablo's not improving, but is battling with the Williams, I think. Not quite sure what's happened there. Either way, Pablo's in P14. And that seems to be your order. Cookie on pole by 3 tenths ahead of Nis, who's 2 thousandths of a second ahead of Trixie. Andy on debut in P4, and the Williams team of Hemi Dimes and Alex in P5 and 6 on the third row of the grid. They are having a strong qualifying here, ahead of TJ, then Raza, Echo and Mock, followed by Aiden. But there you have it, Cookie on pole ahead of Nis, then it's Trixie, then it is Andy. And another strong qualifying from Cookie. Gets the pole position once again. But get your predictions to the chat. Who do you think is going to race? Zampa, unfortunately, Noah is last due to having some connection issues. He didn't even get to set a lap. Not quite sure what's been happening with him, but he did say it's going to be a wet race. So yeah, it is going to be a creamy last to first. Unfortunately for him, hopefully he can have a better race than he had in qualifying, and hopefully he doesn't lag out. That would be very annoying if that did happen. But hopefully he's a bit more stable connection in the race. Meanwhile, Cookie on pole ahead of Trixie, then it's Nis, then it's Andy. And realistically, the win could go to any of those four. I'd be surprised if there's anyone outside those top four, but I'm excited to see the likes of Andy making his debut today. What can he show for Red Bull? Red Bull have been missing some power that they have had from last season. They won the overall Constructors' Championship, and it's just not been going their way in this season. But hopefully they can bounce back And this could be the race to start Red Bull's title charge. And has Nis finally got his teammate that will help turn things around for Red Bull's season? But get your predictions in the chat. Who do you think is going to win this one? We will have to wait and see. But Creamy did say it's going to be a wet race, so we'll have to wait and see. Is it wet, or will there be rain at any point in the race? But the drivers should be ready up in a minute's time, so get your drinks, get your crisps, get your popcorn for round 5 here in Mexico. And we've got 36 laps here in Mexico City. As Sori says, Nisev first win this season if it's wet. As Ledgeman says, rain lap 30, 34ish. So if there's a safety car, there should definitely be rain that plays a factor in this race. But if there's no safety cars, then it might not. But we'll have to wait and see. Got just a couple seconds now before the drivers hit the ready up button and we get ready for 36 laps around the Mexican circuit. And is it a 2-stop? Is it a 1-stop? A bit debatable. I think on this game it might be a 2-stop, but we'll have to wait and see. Either way, the drivers should be running up now, and this is going to be a fun one. We've seen chaotic racing this evening in Zandvoort in the rail, or this morning, or this afternoon, sorry, in Zandvoort. But here in Mexico, will we have the same action as we hear the chimes counting down now? And we will have the 5 red lights on here in Mexico. And Andy's got a drive through on debut. Not the ideal start for the Red Bull driver. Cookie's got a good start. Andy frustratingly getting a drive through as Trixie's been swamped up. Terrible start for Trixie off the start as Nis now round the outside of Cookie. Can he skate round the outside? Cookie goes defensive as Andy battling with Himmy. Dimes Himmy, or that's actually Alex. Alex into P3 as TJ now battling in behind. We've seen a Ferrari go off in the background. Has everyone kept it cleanly as the V-Carbs go side by side? Down as round the outside. Raza tries to break later than Echo is in the background. There's an Alpine that's left the track. That's Mock on debut down the order, and both Alpines have fallen down massively as there's a 10-second penalty for Nuki as not avoiding the yellow flag. Or avoiding yellow flags, sorry. As that's Ellis gone. Ellis spins here on lap 1, and that is not ideal for Ellis at all. As another yellow flag. Not quite sure who that's for, is Pablos and Cyclix battle here. As Echo and Trixie swap positions. Trixie had a nightmare start, but he's going to look to try and recompose as Cookie sets the fastest lap. Andy now in for this to serve his drive through. And Cookie gonna look to break away from Nis. Nis, thankfully, doesn't have Cyclix in his way this time out like he had in Baku. So Nis gonna try and stick with the current championship leader. And could this be the time for Nis to mount a title charge? But into the rear of Cookie he goes, and putting pressure on the Ferrari early on here. And will Nis look for a move? No, he's gonna play it safe. Will Alex be able to stick with Nacho Libre, which is Hemi? Dimes is down the order as Trixie right all over the rear of Raza, and Trixie starting the hard tyres and just didn't get away at all off the start. Really struggled trying to get those hards up to temperature as Raza seems to be out of the boost mode of the car ahead, as Nis putting all the pressure on Cookie that he can. And we'll keep an eye on Trixie. Can he mount a challenge on Echo, as Nis surely has been waiting patiently to try and get ahead of Cookie, as Mock ahead of Creamy. Mock actually back up to P14. Strong start for him considering he fell down the order. He's now battling with Creamy through the final sectors. There's a yellow flag out. It's Ellis again as Mock through on the inside of Creamy. And can he get ahead as Nis right on the rear, unable to get ahead. Trixie ahead of Raza as Nis now almost pushing Cookie through. Rear steps out on that Red Bull and he might have to wait for another opportunity. You need to nail the exit if you want that move, as Creamy losing out to Nuki now. And Nuki makes a mistake, opens the door to Dub Z, and now both Hasses through now on Creamy. Is Creamy going to try and work his way back through again as both Hasses go side by side? Dub, oh, and contact between both Hasses, Nuki and Dub. Contact together as Creamy watching this battle along and just kind of wants to avoid the drama that could be involved in. Meanwhile, Creamy left the session again as Hemi all over the rear of Cyclix. Cyclix, oh! Cyclix is around! Cyclix off the track as Hemi comes together as we'll try and get Creamy back in again. Unfortunately, again, Creamy's internet, whatever is the issue, is just not helping at all, as Cyclix seems to be back into the wall again. Not quite sure what's happening to him. But didn't get going at all with Hemi Dimes there. And Trixie back ahead of Nis right on the rear. Trixie ahead of TJ. But Nis putting all the pressure on Cookie that he can. Cookie being ginger on the throttle. Out of turn 3 as Cyclix gets a 10-second spinning in the pit lane penalty and retires in the pit lane, as Nis putting so much pressure on Cookie. And will Nis be able to break free of the Ferrari soon? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, we'll head down the order and Mock, who I believe may have had damage. No, he was just involved in the spin earlier on, as side-by-side action with Mallard. Side-by-side goes Mock and Mallard. And can Mock make it round the outside? Mallard on the inside trying to keep a nose in. Mock trying to find the grip on the outside. Mock gets through, and what a move on the outside. Dub Z snakes his way through. Beautiful move there from Dub Z on the hard tires. The Haas driver snakes his way through on Mallard, and Mallard loses 2 positions in the space of 1. Dub Z playing that beautifully. Meanwhile, Echo right on the rear of his teammate Raza makes a little mistake, goes a bit wide as Hemi's going to try and get right up into this battle once again. As there's a yellow flag around, and it's Nuki as Creamy's left the session once again. Nuki has spun here as Creamy. We're going to keep inviting him back in again, but I'm not quite sure what issue he's having today. Meanwhile, Nis has got ahead of Cookie. We've missed it while we're trying to invite Creamy back into the session as Cookie goes side by side with Nis. Side by side they go. Round the outside goes Cookie. Nis on the inside trying to keep it together as they go side by side. A little bit of wheel bang and Nis round the outside. Can he get ahead? And yes, Nis gets that move done as Cole 10-second corner cutting penalty. Not quite sure what's happened with Cole there, as Cole down in P19 as Cole also retires in the pit lane. But Nis into the lead he goes as Cookie going to try and get back ahead of Nis if he can, as Alex now back up into P3. And Alex is P2 in the championship for a reason. He's always there or thereabouts, as Echo right on the rear of Raza trying to find a way through, but being patient, battling with his teammate, as Ellis has also retired in the pit lane. That's 4 retirements already here on lap 5. Is Cookie going to try and get back ahead of Nis? Yellow flag still out there as Trixie going to try and get back ahead of Alex, but he's waiting patiently for the yellow flag to clear. And Trixie on the inside as Alex trying to squeeze him to the inside. Trixie though going to go for the move on the inside, and Trixie up into P3, and what a recovery drive it's been from Trixie. Fell down to P8 on the opening lap, and now the driver who's starting the hards is now back up in a P3, and he's back up in the battle for the lead. Is this the opportunity for Trixie to get back in the winning column? Meanwhile, Andy, who had served his drive-through earlier, He's up into P14 as Andy looks to mount his recovery drive. But Trixie now looking very fast in this race and can be looking for his first win since Singapore. As Cookie right on the rear of Nis goes wide, leaves the track. Ellis leaves the session. And Cookie, as Echo and Raza swap positions there. Echo possibly looking like the quicker driver, is in the background. What are these camera angles? Contact between Raza and Hemi. And I'm not sure Raza's going to be too happy with the contact with Hemi there. As Raza now down to P8 in the foreground. We see Echo right on the rear of TJ. And can Echo get up into P5? Meanwhile, Trixie on the hard tyres is back up in to the boost mode of the leaders. But Echo now down the inside of TJ. And TJ's got no answer to that as Pablo's down the inside of Raza, and Pablo's round the outside. Lovely move there from Pablo's into P8, and the hards are really coming into their stride now as we speak about that. Dubsy gets through on Mock as well, and it has been a very strong race for a couple of drivers here, and the hards definitely coming into their stride here. It's only lap 7 and the hards coming into their stride, so it might be a 2-stop, a medium hard, or a hard medium or something. We'll have to wait and see what the drivers do, but it already looks like the mediums may have hit the height of their pace, as Cookie now on the rear of Nis. And Cookie got to be thinking, as he's right on the rear of Nis, he's got to be thinking about Trixie in behind. Trixie could be playing a big part of this battle as Creamy back in again. Hopefully can stick in again. As Cookie now going to charge on the rear of Nis. Can Trixie follow him through? We'll have to wait and see here. Cookie on the outside, dumping the battery. Can he get round the outside of Nis? Cookie into the lead, but will Nis look back down the inside? He does. Cookie round the outside trying to stick it. And Nis looking for the switchback. Bumps the rear of the Ferrari driver. Trixie now on the outside of Nis. Can he find the Red Bull driver? Oh, and Nis covers that move off and will stick in P2, but Trixie all over the rear of Nis. Nis won't have the boost mode to use this lap, so Trixie has that extra bit of battery to try and get ahead of the Red Bull driver if he wants it, as TJ and Pablo's battling. Pablo's now battling over P7, and side by side they go. Pablo's round the outside. Beautiful move from Pablo's there, and the hards are looking beautiful in this race here on lap 8. They are looking so much stronger than the mediums, as TJ now down to P8, but everyone who's starting the hards is in dreamland here as Trixie looks on the inside of Nis, and that would have been a very late move from the Mercedes driver. As now we hit on lap 8, can Nis work his way through on Cookie, or will Trixie look for the move on the Red Bull? As there's a yellow flag, and that looks to be Ollie. Ollie spins, and it's a VSC. And that gives Cookie some respite, and Ollie now down to P15, and heartbreak for Ollie. Some damage for the Alpine driver, and front wing missing entirely as Mock comes in. And Ollie will have to double stack. Andy comes in, and this is probably perfect for Andy's race. Had to serve a drive-through off the jump start, but now has committed to the 2-stop here early onto the hards. Ollie will be next in, along with Mallard. And Andy on this recovery drive now. The VSC has been perfectly timed for him. Meanwhile, how long will the VSC stay out is the question. Cookie leads ahead of Nis. And can Nis time the restart? We'll have to wait and see. Green flag is gone there, and there's mega gaps at the front. It was a lot closer before. Can Cookie drop Nis out of the overtake mode? Nis is going to nail this final sector, and he's got the battery. He's got exactly what he needs, so this battle should resume. I doubt Nis will get ahead of him this lap because he's still 6/10 behind, but him having that extra bit of battery should keep him with Cookie Meanwhile, Echo on the outside of Alex. Echo, though, with a penalty. It's a 3-second along with Dubsy. As Echo now round the outside. Can he get through on Alex? Doesn't look to be on. Is Hemi going to join this battle? Big contact between Echo. As Hemi looks for the switchback and can't get a good camera angle here. As Hemi with the switchback. Both Williams get through on Echo. Pablo's going to look for a move here on Echo as well. Pablo's down the inside as the other Williams is covered off the inside. Pablo's right on the rear here of this battle. Is in behind. We've got Raza and TJ battling. Pablo's on the inside. Dives it late on Raza. Side by side they go and Pablo's gets through into P6. A beautiful move from the Ferrari driver. And Echo, unfortunately, dropping like a fly. The Williams really costing Echo dearly here. And now Echo dropping off massively here. Not quite sure what's happening to him. As Trixie on the rear of Nis doesn't want to look for the move. Hemi right on the rear of Alex as well. And here on lap 10, this has been a barn burner of a match or a race so far. But there's still a lot can happen. There's rain due to come around lap 30. Will that play an impact? Trixie now on the rear of Nis, and will Nis let him through, or will they battle into turn 1? And Nis, I think, has got to cede the position, and he does. Nis finally cedes the position. Meanwhile, Hemi on the inside of his teammate. Side by side, the Williams go, and this is not what they want to be doing. The Williams battling hard as Pablo's going to dance around the outside as they box him in here. And Pablo's through on Alex as Hemi going to try and get round the outside here. Pablo's on the inside as Alex trying to stay with him here. Cars absolutely everywhere. Bit of contact between Pablo's and the Williams as Raza tries to get around the outside but just can't fit through. As Nis gets through on Cookie. Didn't catch that happening. As on the inside goes the Williams. Oh my lord, there's battling absolutely everywhere. As Echo down to P7 as the Williams dived it on the inside. Meanwhile, Cookie dropped down in behind Nis as Trixie now through into the lead, and Trixie looking like the strongest driver out there. As Nis now struggling for traction. Cookie going to call it early, and Cookie going to come in for the hard tyres. He's gone for the undercut, and I think that's the right call because these hard tyres look to be absolutely flying in this race. Nis, though, is still inside overtake mode, I'm pretty sure. No, he's actually lost it. He lost it. I don't know how he's lost it, but he has. And Nis now is not going to have battery to use for a lap here as Mallard has had some sort of error, brought out the yellow flag. How's his front wing looking? Does he have damage? I don't think he boxed two. He's only boxed recently on the hard tyres. It doesn't look like from this vantage point that he has front wing damage, but either way, we've got Echo battling in the middle sector with Hemi. Oh, there's Alex once again. And Echo through now, but burns the rears, and will that allow Alex back through again? And meanwhile, Diggs in the Mercedes didn't have the best of qualifying, but he's up now in P7. Look how much his race has turned out, and the hard tyres are doing magic here in Mexico. Meanwhile, Alex now on the rear of TJ. Or Andy on the rear of TJ, my mistake, and Andy's going to want to dispatch of the two cars ahead of him to try and use the clear air. Meanwhile, will Nis continue on? I believe he has, as Diggs stays out as Alex comes in off the mediums, and Cookie gone very early onto the hards. Nis stays out, so Nis probably doing a one stop as Andy picks up his first 3-second time penalty as Raza looks to catch Andy here. But is he close enough to go for a move? Meanwhile, TJ dives it on the inside of Mock and gets ahead there. And TJ now up into P9, and can he disappear off down the road as Andy now on the rear of Mock. Andy sends it late on the inside of the Alpine leaving the space. And looking for the switchback is Andy. Can he get the grip? Still side by side they go. Andy and Mock battle. Mock round the outside, I think may find the extra grip, and Willie, Andy round the outside, looks for another switchback, and Mock gets back through again. But now TJ surely has disappeared off down the road. As Andy putting out the Alpine under a mega amount of stress, as Thori in the chat says Cookie's made a mistake. And we'll have to wait and see if he has. Is the 2-stop going to be quicker, or is it going to be 1-stop territory? I'm not quite sure. I think if you do a medium hard here, it might be doable, because the hards just seem to be the quickest tyre by a mile. Trixie's been quick in this first stint, but he'll have to do the mediums in his second stint, and I don't know how they'll hold up in that second stint, because the mediums have been a bit terrible in this race so far. As Andy now down the inside of Mock, side by side they go into turn 1. The Alpine battling with the Red Bull side by side. Here we go, and can Andy get through as Mock leaves the road? It opens the door to Raza, and Raza gets through on both of them. What a move there from Raza into P10, gets through on Andy and Mock as they battle, and Mock leaves the track. Raza now into P10. Beautiful move from the V-Carb driver. And Andy possibly frustrated with these battles, costing him some vital time. Qualified P4, but still trying to recover from that drive-through penalty he got off the start. As Nesev into the box now, he'll be going to the end. As Cookie gets the fastest lap, he'll be out ahead of Nis, but Nis will definitely be going to the end, whereas Cookie, I think, will have to 2-stop. I would doubt he'd be able to manage the tyres to the end. If he did, it would be one of the greatest stints known to man. But as we exit the pit lane, Nis exits just behind his teammate, and hopefully team orders come into play here. And you're just right, Andy does allow Nis straight on through, and Nis now on the back of Raza, and Nis is going to try and clear the traffic as soon as possible, otherwise it will hurt his strategies. Mock on the inside of Andy, but unable to get through. Ollie gets through on Aiden, as in the background Mallard makes a little bit of a mistake, has a bit of a wobble down in P16. But gotta remember, points go down to P16, so Mallard still be picking up some points here. And Creamy, you would like to think, may get in the points if there's another DNF, but really unfortunately, as Andy left the track there, allowed Mock through. Mistake there from Andy, as Nis now going to get through on the inside of Raza. Side by side they go, and Nis gets through, and Nis almost leaves the track there, and Raza just going to stay behind, wants that overtake mode to use to help him escape from Mock and Andy. After Andy made that mistake, it'll allow Raza some breathing room now, and he can try and slingshot from Nis onto the rear of TJ, who's now onto the back of Dub Z, who's yet to box in this race. As Mallard through on Aiden, and Aiden now yet to box in this race. Oh, he actually has boxed from lap 1, as Andy back through on Mock into turn 1, and these two been battling ferociously. Meanwhile, we've got TJ through on Dub Z, and TJ up into P7, and this now also going to want to look to get through on Dub Z, as Dub Z just lets him through along with Raza. Dub Z doesn't really want to fight anyone. He knows that they're not in the same race as him. As Cookie gets through on Diggs, as Diggs off the track. Diggs off the track, and damage for Diggs, and Diggs was having such a good race up until this point, and now Diggs down. And that's... Oh, and he's going deep. What's Diggs doing? Not quite sure what Diggs is doing at all. Diggs leaves the track there, and it must have missed his braking zone or something. Not quite sure what's happened. Diggs maybe an issue with his setup. Can't quite... I mean, he made a mistake to end up in the wall with damage, and now Diggs has lost a heap of positions as well. But he'll have to come in, but he'll have to go mediums very long. Gonna have to manage these mediums as Nis gets through on TJ in the background. We've got Dub Z and Andy swapping positions, and Andy through into P9. Meanwhile, Cookie right on the rear of Echo, looks on the inside. Side by side goes Cookie and Echo. Round the outside, can Cookie stick it? And Cookie, with the extra grip on the hard tyres, does get through. And Cookie next has Pablos on his agenda, but a lot of people out of sync here as on the inside goes Alex and dives it through on Mock. Beautiful move there from Alex, as he's going to look through on the inside of Dub Z as well. And Dub, I don't think he's going to fight this one too hard. He's on older hards, as Mock on the rear of Dub wanted the move but couldn't find a way through. And Mock now on the rear of Dub, and Dub struggling on these older tyres as Mock picks up a 3-second time penalty. That's not going to help him in his race, as Echo into the box now. Nis also in a good bit of clear air. Nis will be going to the end. He's on 3-lap fresher tyres than Cookie is. Dub in probably the earliest you want to go on the mediums. 18 laps on the mediums, he's going to struggle for sure. Meanwhile, Cookie sees Pablos up ahead, and I wonder will Pablos pull out of the way? Yes, he does. Pablos lets through Cookie, and Cookie now into P3. But Cookie, I really doubt he's going to the end. I really doubt it. Meanwhile, I think he will have to box again. Hopefully he's another set of hards to use, because the hards have looked so much stronger than the mediums this race. There's a yellow flag around. It's Creamy this time, and Creamy has just had a really unfortunate evening. Just so much disconnects, and now a spin to add to it. But Cookie now on the rear of Hemi. And will Hemi defend like a lion, or will Cookie get through with the aid of the boost mode? And I don't think Hemi's going to have much defence here, as Cookie round the outside and surely going to blow by the Williams driver. As Trixie now continues to lead, but Cookie's almost caught Trixie. 5 seconds is the gap now. Trixie yet to box in this one, as Mallard has had a spin, so I think the McLaren's really struggling here. Damage for the McLaren of Mallard. Left end plate gone, and Mallard will have to get back into the pit lane. But the benefit for Mallard is that he can box and get a new front wing on and go to the end on mediums or hards. As James in the chat says Andy for the win, but Andy may struggle with his drive through to start the race. Got a jump start, and that may hurt Andy trying to get a win here, and also battling with Mock. Andy just looking for some solid points here for the Red Bull. Meanwhile, the current protagonist for the win is Trixie, Cookie and Nis. Nis definitely going to the end here as Andy leaves the track. Meanwhile, Cookie might have the boxing, and I'd be so shocked if he does keep his tyres alive to the end. Meanwhile, Trixie started on the hard tyres. Cookie almost in range of Trixie, as Creamy picks up a 3-second time penalty. Here's the thing though, if Cookie gets ahead of Trixie before Trixie boxes, then Trixie's strategy is definitely not going to work. So Trixie has to do something here, because if Cookie gets ahead of Trixie, then Cookie's 2-stop will definitely be quicker than Trixie's 1-stop. Whereas I think Trixie might have to come in this lap. As you can see, the Ferrari in the background as the Ferrari boots the throttle and almost bends it. And that would have not helped the championship leader one bit if he had a spun there. As Dub Z gets ahead of Ollie. And Ollie missing a front nose, but is using the power of the force to elevate his front wing off the ground, which I'm sure is adding to the difficulty of Ollie's race, as Andy gets a 3-second time penalty. And Andy's really struggled this evening. Not had the ideal debut for the Red Bull. Started P4 and is now down to P9 in behind Alex. As Nis right on the rear of Pablos, and Pablos doing exactly what Ferrari needs. He's just really parking it to hold up the Red Bull driver, and Pablos trying to be as difficult as possible for the Red Bull. And Pablos playing the team game beautifully here. He's making it as difficult as he can for the Red Bull driver, but surely down into turn 1, Nis is going to have extra grip to use And that's just right. But Pablos did well for Ferrari there, held Nis up as long as possible. And now Cookie already inside range from Trixie, and Trixie still hasn't boxed. And surely this is a big indicator that Cookie's strategy is looking rapid. Cookie might even overtake Trixie before Trixie gets into the pit lane here. And Cookie, oh, as Trixie was very defensive there. And Trixie parking it on the inside as Cookie trying to put the pressure on the Mercedes driver. And Trixie holding them up as much as possible. And Trixie's actually going to stay out, which is a bit surprising, because Trixie will have to come onto the mediums at some point. But if he can hold Cookie up for another lap, it would be good. But does he have the extra grip as Cookie and Trixie? A little bit of contact there. Can Cookie outbrake Trixie into turn one? Yes, he does. As Nis now ahead of Hemi. And Nis, a reminder, definitely on the one stop. Cookie could one stop, but it would be an absolute mega stint on the hards. Nis now has got to get a move on because he's 3 laps fresher, hard tyres. And Cookie could potentially be going to the end here. I think if I'm Cookie, I'm boxing this lap to beat Trixie into the pit lane, because he doesn't want to worry about a Trixie undercut. If he beats Trixie into the pit lane, then he'll have track position as well as having good tyres to the end. But I think Cookie might go a bit longer and increase the delta. We'll have to wait and see. Or he might just be one stopping, who knows. If he's one stopping, this is a mega stint on the hards. But he's already got a 1.5 second gap to Trixie. And how long does he stay out? We'll have to wait and see. He is definitely staying out. Trixie staying out even longer. This is a shock to me, how long Trixie's staying out. Maybe he really doesn't rate the mediums at all. Or maybe drivers are thinking about the wet weather, which was predicted to hit at lap 30. As Pablos comes in now off the hard tyres, he's onto the mediums to the end. But again, the wet weather may play a factor here. And maybe Trixie's just staying out until the wet weather comes. And the VSC may have pushed it a little bit earlier, but the driver's going to need the wet weather to come as soon as possible. Predicted to come around lap 30, and they're going to need to come at maybe lap 28 for it to really have an impact on this race. Only one VSC in this race, no safety cars, but that's not to say a safety car couldn't still happen in this one. As Nis now closing on the rear of Trixie. Also have Raza on the rear of TJ. Raza looking for his best finish of the season, currently battling for P5 with TJ. As the rain now comes down on lap 23, and this is what Trixie's been waiting for. But how quickly does the rain come into play? That's the question. Because Nis and Cookie may clear Trixie by the time the rain actually has an impact. So Trixie had a really strong first stint, but his first stint has just gone on too long, unfortunately. The rain is now coming down, but it needs to get wet as soon as possible. Cookie is still a net P1 here, because whenever the rain does get strong enough and the drivers do have to convert to inters, will Trixie be able to hold on here? Don't think he has it, as Nis now right on the rear of the Mercedes driver. And surely it's a matter of time before Nis gets in here, but Nis wants the track to stay as dry as possible here. One Trixie gets a 3-second time penalty as Nis right on the rear of the Mercedes. And Nis trying to run the outside. Side by side they go, and both leave the track there. A little bit of contact between Nis and Trixie, and Nis gets through now into P. Oh, as he leaves he gives the position up to Trixie there. Maybe As Trixie going to come into the pit lane early for the Inters. It doesn't look to be Inter conditions yet, but Trixie needs to do something different to try and change his race. As Nis wants to see the track to stay as dry as possible, because he has the fresher hard tyres to use than Cookie. However, Cookie 7.5 seconds up the road. This has really hurt Nis's strategy. But what will the Inters do in this race? Is the track even wet enough for the Inters to play a factor? I think it's not even wet enough yet. I think Pablos might get through on Trixie here before the track gets wet enough. But we'll wait and see. We'll keep an eye. Can Pablos make inroads on Trixie, or will Trixie start to build the gap from Pablos? This is the key indicator. And it looks like Pablos still has the extra grip than Trixie here. Still looks like dries is the tyre. I think 2-stop was the ideal strategy for this race. As Pablos making some inroads on Trixie. But if Trixie can hold on to this position, and the track can get wetter and wetter, as Alex right on the rear of Raza. Andy off the track here and behind, trying to shape for a move here. And with 10 laps to go, when are the drivers going to think about coming in? Still isn't wet enough yet. Pablos right on the rear of Trixie now. As Andy going to come in, he's going to look for the undercut. But if Trixie can hold on for an extra lap here, it might be enough. But Pablos now, if he can get ahead of Trixie, could be on for a good position. Raza, we'll have to wait and see how he does. If Raza makes a big, and Alex as well, if the dry tyres are a lot stronger than the Inters, as Pablos now may look for the move on Trixie. Down the inside he goes on Trixie as Trixie tries to keep it together on these Inters. It's mediums versus Inters, and Pablos around the outside trying to get this one to stick. Side by side they go. And who can find the extra grip, Pablos or Trixie? I think Trixie just about has it. We're side by side into the next corner, and oh, Trixie round the outside keeps it together as Cookie picks up a 3-second time penalty. A late safety car may cost him potentially, as Pablos right on the rear of Trixie. Trixie leaves the road, and Pablos now through into P5, as the mediums look to be quicker than the Inters, but it's not by a huge margin, as Nisev now in for Inters, and this could be the lap, because it was looking like the tyres were pretty neck and neck, to be honest. But Nis in on lap 27. Can Trixie get back ahead of Pablos here? It's Inters versus medium. Nis exits on the Inters way down the road ahead of Pablos, as Pablos going to try and defend the inside, but Trixie now on the inside, as we had a horrible camera angle there, but Trixie down the inside, Pablos on the outside. Trixie gets through now on Pablos. Can he get back ahead? As Hemi joining this battle, but can Hemi get round the outside of Pablos? Side by side they go, and Pablos lets through Hemi. That's a bit strange. As Creamy's left the server, or not the server. Hopefully he doesn't need the server. Is Creamy's left the race as Diggs now into the pit lane. Ollie's still out there on hard tyres, and Pablos loses 2 positions, and it looks like now the Inters are stronger, with Trixie getting back ahead of Pablos there. And now I think it's the ideal lap to box for Inters as Cookie comes in. And has Nisev made a big undercut? We'll have to wait and see. As Raza, you'd think surely coming in this lap on the Inters, although he's going to lose too many positions. Meanwhile, what will Hemi, Pablos and TJ do? Raza gets a 10-second spinning in the pit lane. Ben Lee was having such a good strong race up until this point, and that 10-second could cost him massively. TJ stays out on the hard tyres. I don't recommend doing that, but anyway, we'll see how TJ gets on. Meanwhile, another 3-second time penalty for Cookie could spice things up here as Nis looks to catch the Ferrari driver or a late safety car could help Niss grab a win here. Meanwhile, Andy has recovered a P5, and what a race it's been for Andy. A drive-through penalty from the start, and has recovered his way up back to P4. A net P4 with TJ probably needing to box this lap. Although Alex inside the penalty threshold of Andy, and I wonder, does Andy have 6 seconds? Yes, he does. Andy's got 6 seconds. As Raza, 10-second time penalty has cost him massively in this race. The V-Carb was having his best race in WHF so far, and the 10-second may cost him dearly. Could have potentially at this moment in time had a net P5 with TJ needing to box. Andy 6 seconds of penalties, but now that 10-second for Raza could cost him dearly in this one. But anyway, Cookie up in front. Starting to stride out in front, yellow flag out. It's the McLaren letting a couple of cars through. TJ staying out. Again, not to recommend. Ollie is retired, and it's a safety car. It's a full-blown safety car. How has Ollie lost it there? He was on the hard tyres, so that might have been it. Possibly wet track has cost Ollie, but a full-blown safety car here could cost Cookie the win. And not only that, but the full-blown safety car is going to help TJ massively here too. TJ didn't box, stayed out, and now he's going to get a fresh or a free pit stop onto the Inters. And we'll keep a look at the gap to the leader here, but Cookie's 3-second time penalty now may give Niss the win. Meanwhile, TJ, we'll see where he pits and ends up as Creamy. I wonder, has Mallard been lapped? He has been, but if Mallard stays out here, he can unlap himself. Yep, smart decision from Mallard there. Can unlap himself with Cookie entering the box, and Mallard now will get caught up to the pack, hopefully. Although, no one EA, it might not even let him get caught up to the pack. We'll have to wait and see, but Cookie comes in. Trixie comes in, Niss stays out. I was honestly a bit surprised to see Cookie come in, but I mean, he does have the tyres to use. TJ gets a free pit stop. Pablos gets a 3-second under safety car, and that is not what you want to be doing at all. That's kind of the worst thing to do. Either way, but Alex stays out on these Inters. Trixie on the fresh Inters, and Trixie's still got a 3-second to deal with here. Where does TJ end up? I think TJ ends up in P6 and could find himself in a podium position by the end, along with Alex. Neither driver's got penalties here, and Niss, Alex and TJ want this safety car to stay out as long as possible, as Raz has gone on to the sauce. And Raz's race is done and dusted. He was having a strong race, and that 10-second speeding in the pit lane penalty he previously got has cost him massively. And he's out on the softs now, and he's got to hope he can get back into the pit lane as soon as possible and not lose any positions here, but that's going to cost him massively. Meanwhile, Cookie's gone for fresh softs, and I bet the reason he's done it in the hopes that he can get ahead of Niss and pull a 3-second gap to Niss, but Niss, can he defend, keep Cookie behind? Or even if Cookie does get ahead, can he stay within inside 3 seconds? This is going to be an exciting battle to the end. And this is why we love wet races and late safety cars, because they always add a lot of drama to the races. But will Raza get back into the pit lane again? Hopefully for his sake, but costing him some key positions. And the V-Carb, I mean, if he had a served his 10-second, got on to the Inters, it would have been perfect, but for whatever reason, his pit crew put him on the softs. Hopefully that's not a mistake by him and just EA being terrible, which wouldn't doubt EA being terrible, to be honest. Oh, and Raz has stayed out on the softs. What is he doing? That's an even worse decision, to be honest. Oh well, you know, you live and you learn, but Raz will finish last in this race. Creamy, back into the points. He is lapped, but Creamy will get a point here for McLaren, and a vital point it'll be. And Mallard also is picking up some points for McLaren as well, and hopefully Mallard can get caught up to the pack, along with Aiden. But Dub still 13 seconds back. We've also got Hemi's 22 seconds off the pack, so there's still big gaps here in the wet. It's just really hard to get caught up to the safety cars. Cookie and Nis swap positions. What? What? As Creamy's got to drive through, but he has unlapped himself, so smart from Creamy. As Mallard into the pit lane. Can he get out in time? He does, but again, I don't know if Mallard's going to get caught up to the pack still. Meanwhile, Creamy has got another drive through. But here, Creamy just keep driving. I mean, even with 2 drive-throughs, Creamy will finish ahead of where he would have finished as Alex and Trixie. Oh. Rio says that Raz is in for his inters. I don't know why he's waited this long to do that. But yeah. Either way, Raz is, at least he'll get some points. He should finish ahead of Ian, so he should get P13. As Mallard gets a 3-second time penalty under safety car, which you don't want to be doing. But again, he's still 2 sectors behind. 2 sectors behind the as Cookie will get us restarted. They say in the chat that Nis let a lap car through, left the track to let a lap car through, but that's a bit of a touchy one. We'll have to see what the stewards say about that. That's going to be heavily debated after the race. But we'll have to see what Cookie does on this safety car restart. And instead of pulling a... as Aiden picks up a 3-second time penalty, he might have to pull a much bigger gap than once thought. Or was he trying to boot the throttle and lost the rear? Oh, and the rear really skating on the Ferrari. And now we head on to lap 33. Nis trying to close on Cookie. And can Nis get ahead of Cookie? Cookie goes defensive to the inside. Nis gonna look for the switchback. Cookie goes deep. Can Nis switch back? I'm on the outside. Oh, Cookie back on through. Oh, and Cookie just about holding on to it. TJ gets a 3-second time penalty. You don't want to be picking up one of those this late on. As Andy up in P3 inbound this battle. Trixie on the rear of Alex. Alex could be an outside shout for the win here if he can get ahead of Nis somehow. Yellow flag still lurking around as Trixie right on the rear of Alex. And Trixie trying to get round the outside of the Williams. No space there for Trixie as he's right on the rear of the Williams. As we head to lap 34, and Cookie has not built a gap to Nis. Nis is gonna, as things stand, win regardless what the stewards say about that potential illegal overtake. As Trixie on the rear of Alex. Echo on the rear of TJ. As Alex goes a bit wide, opens the door to Trixie on the outside. And a little bit of contact with Trixie. Going to get through now into P4. As Trixie looking to get back onto the podium here. But Alex gets back through again. Lovely move there from Alex. As Trixie going to dive it on the inside. Side by side they go. Trixie and Alex still battling. In the background we got more battles, but can Alex get through? Yes, he does. Alex keeps it out of Trixie. Lovely move there from Alex. But all this battling's costing them some time to the leaders. Alex can see a podium on the horizon, but he could have had P2 if he could stick with Cookie. But a P2 could still be on the cards. We've got to say that the stewards could potentially award a penalty as TJ and Echo battle, and Echo through on TJ. And TJ now down to P8, and the safety car restart's not gone TJ's way at all. Meanwhile, Trixie right on the rear of Alex, putting so much pressure on the Williams as they're both skating the rear out of the final corner trying to find the traction. And can Trixie beat the Williams in a drag race down the main straight here on the penultimate lap? They're side by side. Who has lower wings? This is what it comes down to. As Trixie, can he get through? Still side by side goes Alex and Trixie, and Alex finally has to back out, but surely Alex is going to think about, he has the podium via penalties. He's just going to stick behind Trixie, because I'm sure his teammate Hemi may be thinking about a podium as well. As Echo putting pressure on Hemi as well. Punts the rear of the Williams as Hemi gets a 3 second, but that'll be removed by the steward surely. Meanwhile, up in front, Cookie has broke a second from this, but not really enough. Oh, and he leaves the track definitely there, trying to build a bigger gap from Nis. Definitely picking up warning there for sure. As Echo on the rear of Hemi. And can Echo find a way through on Hemi? We start the final lap here, and still a lot to play for. The win still up for grabs. It looks like Nis has it potentially, as Echo on the rear of Hemi, gonna pick the outside. Can Echo outbrake the Williams driver? Big contact as Echo and Hemi come together, more banging on the exit of turn 1, and Echo gets through, but major contact there between Echo and Hemi as they come together there. As Andy with Trixie right on his rear, and Andy holding up Trixie in order to try and benefit Red Bull in the championship. They want to basically halt Mercedes from getting as much points as possible, because Mercedes would be rivals with Red Bull in the constructors. Here on the final lap, can Trixie get ahead of Andy? Looks like he's too far back. Andy may hold on to P3 on track unless Trixie goes for a late dive bomb, which he might do. Yes, he does. And as we round the final corner, side by side they go. Cookie is about to cross the line. Has he done enough to do it as Trixie gets a penalty? Trying to get through, and Andy Nis wins it at the death, just about, as Trixie and Andy race the line, but it'll be Alex gets through on both of them, as Trixie gets a penalty, battling with Andy that costs him dearly, as Hemi into P6, and TJ P7, Pablo's P8, Diggs P9, Echo P10, Mock P11, Dub Z P12. As Dub P12, Raza P13, Aiden P14, Mallard P15, Creamy does get a point for McLaren, but Trixie, big mistake there at the end, getting a 3 second time penalty. He would have finished ahead of Andy anyway, so really did not need to go for that move. Meanwhile, Cookie, 900ths in it. Cookie finishes P2 in this, picking up his first win. But Cookie may even get an additional penalty, which could push him down to P2. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But there you have it. Nis wins here and getting what I believe is his first win of the season here. It's been a long time coming for Nis. And as we joined here on interviews, we're joined by Nis, and Nis 900ths in it. I know the stewards might have a word with whatever happened on the safety car, but regardless, you still have taken it out of the steward's hand and won by 900ths of a second. How close was that?
Almost dropped it out of the last corner, but I had it under control-ish. But I turned on medium out of the last corner and almost dropped it, so I got a bit scared there. But yeah, it was a controlled race. But yeah, it's definitely a penalty. There's no doubt about that. It's not fair to overtake someone slain by a lapped car.
Don't know if that's technically in the rules, but
well, it's still overtaking under safety car, so.
But if you leave the track, it's kind of it's like you know. We'll wait and see this. I'm sure the stewards will debate.
What
a
are
lot
you
about
complaining about? You got gifted the win anyways, bro. Calm down.
I just feel like if you leave the track, I mean that kind of opens the door to an overtake. So it's a bit. Anyway, we'll see what the stewards say after the race. I'm sure they'll debate about it. But either way, Nis, you get your first win of the season. How tricky was that whole race?
I didn't know when the rain came, so yeah, I went long, too long on the mediums, I'd say. Should have boxed when Cookie did. So yeah, it was tricky. Definitely at the end there. So, but overall happy with the result. Got the win. So yeah.
And Cookie, we did see there after that final safety car restart, almost went at 900ths in it. How close was that?
It was close. Definitely had the best pace, so a little bit sad that Ollie 60-something seconds down decides to crash and cause a 3-lap shootout. But no, it was good. For some reason he went way off track, and I tried to let him back pass under safety car, but I don't think he wanted to. So I guess that's all fair. But yeah, a little bit gutted, but that's all right.
Well, still a P2 extends your championship lead, and also with Nis and Trixie missing a couple of races due to being on holiday, it should still have a strong margin. But as we head, I also forgot to ask Nis this, but I'll ask Nis in a second. But as we head to Spain, is that one of your favorite tracks?
Yeah, it's one of my best. So it should be good. Again, maybe I'll take a 10th off my pace to not get any warnings in case someone decides to spin with 4 laps to go again. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It was a fun race.
Well, we'll see you next time out for Spain, but still congrats on the P2, Cookie, and we'll also head back to Nis. And Nis, as we head to Spain, is that one of your favourite tracks?
I might not be there for Spain, so yeah.
Well,
might not make it, unfortunately. And it's not even my best track, so wouldn't matter.
Well, that's unfortunate, but hopefully we can see you there anyway. Hopefully you just cancel your plans and race instead. That'd be funner, you know. But anyway, we'll move on to Alex, who finished P3, and Alex showed again why if you keep it clean, you can get promoted, and that's exactly what happened. Alex up to P3. How'd that race go for you? Alex? Alex.
You need to put your microphone harder.
Hello? I mean, it looks like his mic is making noise, but I'm not hearing anything.
He's miles away from it.
It sounds like...
I'm not miles away from it, bro.
Alright, now we can hear you. Now we can hear you. How'd that race go for you, Alex?
Brilliant, mate. Superb.
Great. And how'd that race go for you? Like, who are you battling with? Because there's so much happening, I've kind of lost track.
I'm just trying to stack pad a P2 in the championship, I can't lie. So, Nisev, could you miss the next race, please? Cheers, pal.
Yeah, I'll make sure I'll miss it then.
Thank you, Pissev.
Just for you.
Thank you.
Well, as we head to Spain, is Spain one of your favourite tracks, Alex?
I've driven a total of 10 laps. Yep.
So I assume that means you're basically Max Verstappen. But anyway, thank you, Alex. As we'll head on to Echo next. Echo, where'd you finish?
P10. Would have been a P6, but yeah, it was P10 in the end.
What happened?
Take a wild guess. Penalties.
Yeah, unfortunate. But we missed who you're battling with because there was a lot going on at the end. But what ended up happening in the end there?
Well, considering obviously I had the penalties, when the rain came, it did help me. I managed to get back up to the front row, and I was just trying to push as much as I can so I can at least get a decent position. But overall, it was a good race. I was battling with my teammate the first couple of laps, and then I was stuck behind. I think it was Alex I was behind before the rain came out, so I was pretty much just trying to extend the hards, but tyre wear was a bit too high, so I had to I was planning on doing a 2-stop.
Anyway, still points as good as any. As TJ, I think you had a similar sort of story to Echo as well, where everything was going well, but then that late safety car kind of cost you, and then you got a 3-second time penalty as well. That may have cost you.
To be honest, the safety car kind of helped me. I was P4 when it came out, and then I boxed, and I think I came out like P5 around the end. And yeah, I just suck at wet weather. I need to get better. That's the only bottom line of that.
Well, regardless, where'd you finish again?
P7.
Well, still P7. Like that last safety car did kind of help you a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm sure as we head out to Spain next, hopefully for yourself and Echo, it can go a bit easier. But I think we'll move on to Hemi Dimes as well. Hemi had a strong race. Hemi, where'd you end up finishing in the end?
I think it was P7. I think it'll be P5 after I get that penalty removed. Yeah,
there was so much chaos happening in that race. I just lost track of half the grid because there was battles for the lead and battles for the podium. But still a lot of battling. We've seen you battling with your teammate lots, and we even seen some contact with your teammate. What happened there?
When was that?
I think it was like turn 1 or something. Oh, and then there was the contact with Echo. What happened there?
If you look in the chat, it just explains it. It's just a bit of lag.
Just a bit of lag. Well, that's unfortunate. But as we head to Spain, is anyone secretly Maldonado who's going to win, or what? All right. So Hemi's Maldonado, and he's going to pick up a win. Love to see it. And I'm
going to be the bad side of Maldonado, and I'll just spin.
Nice. But anyway, thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed, we have been WHF here in round 5 in Mexico, and we're going to find someone to rate on our way out. Nis wins by 900ths at the line via penalties, and Cookie down to P2 with Alex again keeping his nose clean and once again benefiting and getting a podium. And Alex will extend his margin in P2 in the standings, as well as Cookie extending his lead in the championship. But Nis now back from holiday along with Trixie We've also seen Andy debut. So still a lot to happen in this season. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, we're going to raid Shadow League on our way out. They're on the penultimate lap of the race in Spa, so make sure to give them a follow on your way over. But anyway, thank you all for watching. We'll see you all next week. I've been WHF Arrow, and goodbye.